protection. Voltas Pure Air Adjustable AC.
A very good evening. You're watching India Today 5 Live. I'm Nabila Jamal. Our very continued coverage right here on the Gyanvapi Mosque survey. In fact, India Today has an exclusive report of the survey, which really claims that there are several symbols that have been found which is related to the Sanatan Dharma. In fact, the survey findings need to be right now dissected in court. But before that, India Today has managed to access the report right here with us. I'm going to take you through all those details. First, let's take a quick look at the headlines. Both Gyanvapi survey report accessed by India Today. A final report mentions shivling in the Gyanvapi Mosque, signs of Sanatan culture, the lotus, the damru, the trishul, all found. Supreme Court defers the Gyanvapi Mosque case hearing until tomorrow 3 p.m. Asks the Varanasi court not to proceed with the trial today. And after Ayodhya and Kashi, Hindu glare on Mathura, Krishna Janmabhoomi site, plea seeking removal of Shahi Eidgah Mosque admitted in the lower court. The Supreme Court jails Navjot Singh Sidhu for a year in the 1988 road rage case. The cricketer turned politician had battered 65-year-old man to death. And 2 days, 2 blows for the Gandhis. After Hardik Patel dumps the Congress, former Punjab Congress chief Sunil Jhakar now joins the BJP, says quit Congress due to divisive politics.
जब असूल ही टूट जाएं, जब हम अपने सिद्धांत से हट जाएं, अपनी आइडियोलॉजी से हट जाएं, तो मैं समझता हूं दिस इज अ राइट टाइम टू हैव अ रीथिंक.
Here's a big breaking news coming in. India Today, the only channel to have accessed the full Gyanvapi survey report. India Today has accessed the Special Advocate Commissioner Vishal Singh's report, and that survey findings coming out with some really glaring detail that speaks of the kind of symbolism that has been found inside the mosque premises. Here are the number of findings, including an oval-shaped idol that's been very clearly mentioned in that mosque survey report, which is now yet to be dissected by court. But before that, India Today has managed to get the complete survey report that shows a couple of findings showing Hindu symbolism, including the oval-shaped idol. The survey findings further establishes a shivling-like structure that the survey is supposed to have found. And then further speaks, the survey goes on to speak of the temple ruins and how they managed to find image of deities. Many images of deities on the walls of that mosque, that is the underground basement wall of that mosque, has some of those symbols related to the Sanatan Dharma. We're also looking at more idols in crimson color, at least 4 idols in crimson color as per the survey findings. Also, a conical structure under the mosque dome. These are a number of findings that has been clearly mentioned in the survey report, which India Today has managed to access. Let's take a quick listen at reactions. In fact, Ajay Mishra, one of the survey chief who's carried out this survey with videography and images that have been filed in court, which India Today has accessed. Here's what he has to say.
I'm joined by the then Advocate Commissioner Ajay Mishra. He's sitting besides me and having one map, and I'll try to get through this particular map and understand what Ajay Mishra went through the survey when he was inside. Ajay ji, survey आपने पहला किया, रिपोर्ट भी आपने दे दी है. दर्शक जानना चाहते हैं इस मैप के जरिए आप जरा बताइए आप किस तरफ से अंदर गए थे और किस तरह से आपने सर्वे किया था.
मैं 4 नंबर गेट से अंदर गया था और नॉर्थ की साइड में आया जब, तो मैंने यहाँ जो है नॉर्थ और क्या कहेंगे ईस्ट जो कोना है, नॉर्थ और ईस्ट का कोना था, वहाँ से शुरुआत किया था मैंने. और सबसे पहले मैंने जब नॉर्थ और वेस्ट सॉरी नॉर्थ और वेस्ट का जो है कोना शुरू किया था. यहाँ मुझे जो सबसे पहले जो दिखा तो गणेश जी के आकार की जो है कुछ एक कलाकृति दिखाई दी. इसके बाद सीढ़ियाँ थी, इस कोने पे जो है कमल के फूल आकार का जो है कुछ मलबा भी दिखाई दिया जो है. ऐसे जब मैं जो है दक्षिण की तरफ बढ़ा जो है तो यहाँ पे मैंने कुछ जो है उकेरी हुई कलाकृति देखी, जिससे लगता था किसी देवी देवता का जो है चित्र बना हुआ है।
तो आपने यहाँ से सफर शुरू किया?
यहाँ से 6 तारीख को मैंने सफर शुरू किया और यहाँ जो है लास्ट जो है 5:50 पे जो है यहाँ पे हमने कार्रवाई।
और उस बीच में श्रृंगार गौरी वाला स्थल भी आया?
जी।
और दूसरे दिन जब आप गए तब क्या हुआ?
दूसरे दिन हम जब गए तो 3 बजे का समय दिया गया था
जी।
3:45 तक विपक्षी गण का इंतजार किया गया। जब कोई नहीं आया तो अब जो है हम वादी गण को और उनके देवताओं को लेके पूरा यहाँ से जो है शुरू किए। चौधरी जो है वीडियोग्राफी कराए जो है कि बैरिकेडिंग के बाहर क्या क्या स्थित है, पूरा मैंने ये कराया जो है पूरा यहाँ का
गोल चक्कर। जी।
और जब यहाँ से घूमते हुए हम यहाँ आए तो यहाँ पे जो है बताया गया कि यहाँ पे जो है दरवाजा टाइप का था। ये जो है इसके अंदर कुछ बाहर से दिखाई दे रहा था, अंदर तो जाने की था नहीं, बैरिकेडिंग लगी हुई थी। तो ये बताया गया कि यहाँ पे जो है व्यास जी का जो है ये तहखाना टाइप का था।
ये आप देखिए तस्वीर किस तरह से कमीशन रिपोर्ट है और इसमें पूरी चीज़ों का जिक्र किया गया है कि आखिर शिलापट्ट पे क्या चीज़ें हैं, देव विग्रह पे क्या चीज़ें हैं। मैं कुछ प्रमुख पॉइंट्स को पढ़ूंगा और वकीलों से भी बातचीत करूंगा, पर शुरुआत में यहाँ से करूंगा जो प्रमुख यहाँ पर पॉइंट्स में देख पा रहा हूँ। नंबर 2 पेज पर अगर आप आते हैं तो आप यहाँ पर देखते हैं तस्वीरों को कि यहाँ पर अगर आप आते हैं नंबर दो पन्ना जो है ये आप देखिए किस तरह से यहाँ पर पॉइंट्स लिखे गए हैं। कुल 8 पॉइंट्स हैं। इनको मैं सबसे पहले पढ़कर आपको बताऊंगा। ये एक्सक्लूसिव तस्वीर आप देख पा रहे हैं आज तक पर। अंदर से दूसरे खंभे पर त्रिशूल के चिन्ह हैं, यानी कि इस रिपोर्ट में जिक्र किया गया है भगवान शिव के त्रिशूल का, जिसकी बात हिंदू पक्ष द्वारा लगातार की जा रही थी। इसके आगे इसका प्रतिवादी संख्या 4 द्वारा आपत्ति दर्ज कराई गई, जिसकी फोटोग्राफी और वीडियोग्राफी भी की गई है। नंबर 2 पॉइंट जो है वो है दक्षिण पश्चिम के कोने में पश्चिमी दीवार पर स्वास्तिक का निशान खुदा हुआ मिला है और कमल में 3 फूल भी मिले जिस पर नक्काशी और उसके ऊपर स्वास्तिक का चिन्ह मौजूद है।
All right, there you have it. A very detailed report which has been submitted to court. The survey findings which India Today has managed to access right here we have with us. In fact, Gaurav Sawant, Samar Srivastava, both of them have been very closely tracking these developments. They're both right at that spot, the Gyanvapi complex where the survey has taken place. The findings have been submitted in the Varanasi court. Gaurav, if not for the Supreme Court's intervention today, it appears that all the survey findings that we see here, a 12-page survey, a report that's been filed with the Varanasi court, would have been dissected and heard clearly today, but the Supreme Court has asked to hold on until tomorrow 3 p.m. when they take up the matter. But nonetheless, I want you to give us an insight and understanding. You have the report yourself. What does this 12-page survey report really speak of? Detailed analysis on the number of symbols, on the kind of messaging right clear on the walls of that Gyanvapi Mosque that have been found and now submitted to court.
Nabila, this is for the first time that what's inside the Gyanvapi Mosque has been actually videographed, photographed and written about very extensively by a court-mandated committee. So the court commissioner, with all parties involved in this case, went to the Gyanvapi Mosque on different days, and 2 different court commissioners. On the 6th and the 7th, Ajay Mishra-led team went. On the 14th, 15th and 16th, Vishal Singh mandated committee, the court-mandated committee headed by Vishal Singh, they went in and they've videographed and photographed different parts of the Gyanvapi Mosque complex, inside, outside and the basement, and that place where Wazu Khana was and where the Hindu side insists that the shivling has been found, and all of them, the dimensions of the shivling, of the Wazu Khana, of what else was located at different locations, it's all there in this report that India Today has exclusively accessed. So take a look. What does it say? I want to take our viewers through some of the highlights of this report. It says, shivling ke upar alag se kuch bana hua tha. This is one of the findings, which means the Hindu side says it's a shivling, the Muslim side says it's a fountain, but something that's built on top of that shivling is built separately. It also then goes on to say that the second structure is different from the original structure. It also talks about how there is, they made an effort to find a plumbing system or a water management system, but that could not be located. And the Muslim side claimed that there was no water that ran through these pipes in the past 20 years. But no water management system was located despite efforts made in that direction. then they went to the basement. तहखाने में गए. तहखाने के अंदर 4 दीवारें नई ईंटों से बनी थी. And this is extremely significant, which means the original temple structure, the mosque structure, and there was some recent construction in the basement made of new bricks. Why was that done? Was that an effort to conceal something? And this will have to be revealed when more investigations are carried out, in case the court permits that.
Right.
नीचे से ऊपर तक घंटी, कलश और फूलों की आकृति, which means these are Sanatan symbols that were found. प्राचीन भारत मंदिरों की शैली, मस्जिद के अंदर त्रिशूल की आकृति, शिवजी त्रिशूल फाउंड इनसाइड द मस्जिद, इन द मॉस्क, स्वास्तिक के निशान even in the mosque premises. तहखाना 15 बाय 15 फुट का, मंदिर की आकृति का मलबा तहखाने में, और वजू जहां होता था वहां there were 30 taps in the वजू pond, and all that water went where the Hindu side insists is the shivling. So these are the findings of this committee. Incidentally, from what sources have told India Today, whatever was videographed and photographed was sealed then and there itself and then presented in court. These images and photographs will come out only once court authorizes it. India Today has exclusively accessed the report, Nabila.
Right, you know, Gaurav, while we're looking at the findings of this survey, we're looking at an oval-shaped idol, a lotus, a trishul, a shivling-like structure. These are clear mentions in that report, which one can imagine has not come as a real surprise, because the petitioners have been indeed stressing on the fact that there is great Hindu symbolism in that site. It's very special for the Hindus, and this is the place that they want to worship, because they know that there are symbols inside. They want to be permitted to be allowed inside and pray at that spot. So this does not come as a surprise that they've managed to find those symbols along the walls, along those areas, along at the basement. But what we see here is that it's not a couple of symbols. There's a host of messages written right on the wall that's very clear to show that maybe a temple was indeed desecrated for a mosque to be built. So it's not one or two. We're looking at least 7-8 instances that very clearly shows that entire region could have been a glorious temple at one point.
Nabila, you're absolutely right. That is the conclusion, one may draw from this report. And then when you look at other, when you join the dots, Nandi, the ride of Lord Shiv, facing in the direction of the Gyanvapi Mosque structure, the disputed structure, looking exactly 83 feet. The distance between the Shivling and Nandi is exactly 83 feet and straight in front. And many have been saying all along, you're absolutely right. Everyone knew this, everyone talked about it. But then for courts, you need evidence, and evidence where pen is put to paper. So now that evidence has been gathered, that evidence has been produced before court, the 5 petitioners, including Sudha Sahu, they want unhindered access. Initially, they said to Sringar Gauri Sthal, where they wanted to pray to Ma Gauri. And, when we spoke to the petitioners, they were saying that they were praying, that crimson color that you were talking about, Nabila. That's one part. They are saying that the real temple is actually inside, and they didn't have access inside those barricades. They now want to seek access to the location where they say the Shivling stands, and now they want court to give them access. Now it remains to be seen what the apex court decides, and on the basis of that, the trial court, how does this case proceed? Because the petitioners, the Hindu petitioners, are seeking unhindered access to their deities.
Gaurav, we're looking at much talk and anticipation as to what the Supreme Court will say when it comes to this case, because the Supreme Court has asked the Varanasi court to hold on a little while before they deliberate on some matters, some pleas that has also been filed by the Muslim side, where they call this entire survey in the first place as illegal. Here, we're looking at this court-appointed survey commission that's finally been submitted. The Gyanvapi Mosque report has now come. The survey report has come to the Varanasi court, but the court is holding on to it until the Supreme Court hears this matter tomorrow. In fact, India Today, the only channel who's managed to access the 12-page report of the Gyanvapi survey. The shivling in the mosque, signs of Sanatan culture, 4 idols in crimson color, conical structure under the mosque's dome have all been clearly mentioned in the survey report, which now the Varanasi court, we believe, will have to dissect and understand how much of a symbolism this is to the Hindu religion. As per the survey report, Sanatan culture signs were found on the walls of the mosque basement, which was locked up so long. Thanks to the survey, they managed to open that up and take some images and visuals that are quite incriminating, that almost corroborates with all those statements put forth by the petitioners that there is, yes, indeed, large symbols of Hindu religion writ large on the walls of that mosque, which needs to be probed. Let the facts come out. Let the truth be told. The survey also mentions a lotus, a damru, a trishul, many other signs related to ancient temples that was found inside the mosque. In fact, the chip of videography of the survey has also been submitted by the commissioner to the court. And this is a report of the survey that was conducted between 14th to 16th of May, has been submitted. We're looking at this becoming, of course, a controversy, a showdown. The Varanasi court has now been asked to desist from taking up this matter yet, like I said, until the Supreme Court takes up the hearing. Varanasi court now is all set to hear the matter on Monday, is what we understand. Let me cut across to Gaurav. Gaurav, the court was all gearing up and roaring to take up this survey report because it was the Varanasi court indeed that allowed for a survey to take place. Now, we know that this happened after much contention. The Muslim side citing the Places of Worship Act 91, which enforces the religious character of a religious site to remain as it is ever since 1947, ever since independence. Challenging that almost, the Varanasi court allowed for a survey to take place inside that mosque. So we know that several of those basement areas, about 4 to 5 locked rooms, were opened up. And a survey was allowed, a videography was allowed. After much resistance, we see this report finally come to fore. So this comes as a big day for all those people, the followers, those who really closely follow and have full faith in the Sanatan Dharma, that this is what they were waiting for, at least for the fact and the truth to be told. What's to hide? What's the Supreme Court going to be taking up tomorrow at 3 p.m., Gaurav?
So there are many aspects of law on which the Muslim side is pleading. As you very rightly pointed out, they are talking about the Places of Worship Act 1991, which incidentally has been challenged in the Supreme Court itself. Of course, the Hindu side counters that by saying, one, Places of Worship Act does not talk about structures that are more than 100 years old. They're also saying that Places of Worship Act is bad in law because it is in violation of the fundamental right to pray of the Hindus. It violates the Hindus' right to worship and reclaim their deities. You know, why should Hindus, and this is the contention that's been put forward by Dr. Subramaniam Swamy or Ashwini Upadhyay and others who have challenged the Places of Worship Act 1991, saying, why should Hindus be denied their places of worship, including and not just restricted to the Yogeshwar Shri Krishna Janmabhoomi at Mathura and the Kashi Vishwanath temple. And just today, India Today's Milan Sharma broke that story about a 1,200-year-old Narsingh idol, Lord Narsingh, one of the avatars of Vishnu, rescuing Prahlad, from that 1,200-year idol being recovered from Qutub Minar in Delhi or Quwwatul Islam Mosque. So how would an idol come in a mosque? Of course, there's a sign that says that 27 temples were desecrated or destroyed to construct a mosque. So, Hindus say we want to reclaim our places of worship. The Muslims say you follow the Places of Worship Act. All of this will ultimately have to be decided either by the Supreme Court or the Places of Worship Act needs to be amended by Parliament, where the BJP, according to AIMIM, they say that you have the numbers in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. If you want, remove this act, change this act and do what you want to do. So all of that is now a matter of contention or an issue that will be decided either in Supreme Court or in Parliament.
All right, Gaurav, this did not come with its fair share of trouble. Even the survey that was carried out came with much chaos around it. In fact, the Varanasi court managed to retain the commissioner of the survey of the survey committee. But when a lot of the survey findings were leaked, it appears that the Varanasi court has also not taken this too well, quickly suspended the survey committee commissioner to say that this can't happen. The survey findings will have to be confidential and it has to be submitted to court. It cannot be leaked to the media. But of course, we know that this survey report, as now much of the information is with us, is right here in my hand, a 12-page report that's been submitted in court here that very clearly speaks of extensive symbolism within that mosque premises, at the basement area particularly, at the back of the walls. So the survey that was conducted on the 6th and 7th of May, that was submitted by the former commissioner, in his two-page report here, we see that he's mentioned about getting the symbols and relics of Hindu religion. He clearly says, Mishra's report here clearly says that idol of Shringar Gauri has been found during the videography. And not only Shringar Gauri, but also the remains of several other ancient Hindu temples have also been recovered from the mosque site, is what the former commissioner has mentioned in his report. Now, the ancient lamp is also there in that report, as he's mentioned very clearly that an ancient lamp has been found that was used to perform puja there, indicating that there was a temple before that mosque. Now, the videography, photography at that disputed site was done on 6th and 7th of May. The Varanasi court then eventually removed that commissioner from the 3-member survey. The commissioner was heading it. He was removed for allegedly displaying irresponsible behavior towards the discharge of his duties, because he is supposed to have leaked some of that information out. But this comes after we understand that the same commissioner deployed a personal camera person who had taken all that information and leaked it to people out there who are waiting to find out on what exactly is in this survey. So, like I said, it did come with a fair share of trouble. The survey went on, but nonetheless, not without its fair share of controversy, and with the Varanasi court eventually ousting the survey committee commissioner. Now, despite that, this survey seems to be quite well structured and gives out in-depth analysis and detail on exactly what was found inside. If you can tell me, Gaurav, a few of those symbols there, on what it really means and how much emotional value and sentiments it has attached to the Hindus at large. Some of those symbols, including the shivling, which is of the main focus.
Nabila, you're absolutely right. There is tremendous, symbolism, faith, belief. But for now, we stay on facts. We stay on what the two survey committees have found. The first part of the survey was conducted on the 6th and the 7th of May. Ajay Mishra was the court-mandated survey commissioner, and his committee carried out a survey in some parts of the Gyanvapi Mosque premises, now disputed mosque premises. The second part was conducted when Vishal Singh was heading the committee. They've carried out a more detailed survey and over a longer period of time, 14th, 15th and 16th, where they went inside not just the mosque premises, the wazu khana, but also the basement, tehkhana as they say. Some parts of it were locked. Those locks were broken. Some locks were open. Some parts, and this is where it becomes extremely interesting, Nabila, and this is where it will remain a bone of contention and a subsequent course of action, because some parts have actually been walled up. The report says, if I may, पुरातन हिंदी भाषा में कुछ खुदा हुआ था और कुछ नए पिलर बनाए गए थे ईंटों से. एक जगह भगवान की तस्वीर मिली, नई ईंटें बेतरतीबी से कहीं पड़ी हुई थी. Now this becomes extremely interesting, and सनातन धर्म के निशान शिवलिंग के ऊपर अलग से कुछ बना था. Now नई ईंटें, why were new bricks in that area? Why was a part of the basement walled up? What is being concealed behind what is walled up in this area? And this is where Vishnu Shankar Jain, petitioner, lawyer for the petitioner, they want these new brick walls to be removed so that they can see what is inside. Because in one of these basements, tehkhana as it's called, tehkhane के अंदर 4 दरवाजे नई ईंटों के वो ईंटों से बंद कर दिए गए थे. बाहर नीचे से ऊपर घंटी, कलश और फूलों की आकृति थी जो प्राचीन भारत के मंदिरों की शैली में थे. Which means they found पश्चिमी दीवार पर हाथी की सूंड, an elephant was also, of course it's broken. This is what they're saying, that some of what has been found is broken, including this elephant, and they're saying that there is some things that are engraved there, including in Hindi language, ancient Hindi language, that they cannot decipher at this stage. मंदिर के अंदर त्रिशूल की आकृति खुदी हुई थी. Inside the mosque, a trishul was engraved, and you know, it's for anyone to guess why would a trishul be engraved inside a mosque.
Right.
And some of it swastik ke nishan the. Now swasti or swastik is the very auspicious Hindu symbol. Why would it be there? Why would a swastik be there inside a mosque, and not on the outer periphery, not on the outside walls, but inside or on the western wall of the mosque structure?
Well, it's
Nabila.
now becoming increasingly clear, but it certainly does not come as a surprise, because it was expected to have great Hindu symbolism, but to this extent, for sure, is something that that has certainly surprised us. The number of symbols that are now emerging in that survey report that has been clearly detailed, of course, it needs to be taken up in court, but Gaurav, you've filed a report. You've given us all those inputs right from that from that area, the Gyanvapi Mosque complex, where the survey was carried out, and all through the time until the survey details have been submitted in court. Here is exactly in a compilation of the number of points that has been put forth by Ajay Mishra and Vishal Singh in their survey findings, which India Today has accessed, on the kind of symbolism that they found inside that Gyanvapi Mosque. Let's have a look.
A shivling, lotus motif, damru, trishul, symbols associated with Lord Shiva and more signs of Sanatan culture. These are the big findings of the survey report submitted by court-appointed Special Advocate Commissioner Vishal Singh. The 10-page report has been submitted in the Varanasi court along with 3 boxes of evidence which include pictures and videos.
जो नक्शे हैं वो भी आप लोगों ने सबमिट
जी एकदम जितनी फोटोग्राफ्स थी और वीडियोग्राफी हुई है दौरान कमीशन कार्रवाई अंडर सील है वो हम लोगों ने सबमिट कर दिया है.
तो ये कितनी फोटोग्राफ्स होगी, किस तरह की फोटो?
ये जानकारी नहीं है. जो फोटोग्राफ हुई है सारी चीजों की फोटोग्राफी कराई गई है, सब सबमिट कर दिया गया है.
A second survey report by sacked Commissioner Ajay Mishra is also now with the Varanasi court. It also mentions 4 Hindu idols, fragmented deity, debris of temple, walls inscribed with Hindu motifs, and an image of the Sheshnag.
मुझे देखने से मतलब वही प्रतीत हुआ कि ये नाग का जो है ऊपर ही टूटा हुआ फन टाइप का था.
किस तरह के अवशेष खंडित हैं, वो क्या दिखा रहे हैं?
वो मंदिर के मतलब कुछ जो है ऐसा है कि टुकड़े हैं, मूर्तियां टाइप की हैं, जो है वो आपको देखने से लगेगा कि नहीं, हाँ ये किसी मंदिर का ही अवशेष है.
मंदिर का अवशेष लगता है
जी.
The survey findings, accessed exclusively by India Today, clearly suggests the presence of the temple at the Gyanvapi Mosque complex. The findings are being hailed by the Hindu side.
हमारी निश्चित रूप से मांग यही है कि वो शिवलिंग है, उस शिवलिंग की खुदाई कर और भी चीज़ों को हमारे ट्रस्ट को समर्पित कर दिया जाए, दे दिया जाए, ताकि हम उसका भोग राग पूजन भजन कीर्तन अर्चन ये कर सके.
देखिए, सर्वे तो माननीय न्यायालय ने आदेश दिया था, उस अनुसार जो है कि पक्ष विपक्ष दोनों लोग की सहमति से अच्छे से हुआ है और अच्छे से हुआ है. पूरा न्यायालय को सौंप दिया गया. न्यायालय जो भी न्याय करेगा वो पूरा विश्वास है कि सत्य की जीत होगी.
But the legal battle is far from over. The Supreme Court will now hear the Gyanvapi case on Friday at 3 p.m. It has for now put a stay on the proceedings in the Varanasi court.
Proceedings before the Varanasi court are going on. I have told you that the application which we have filed, that the Muslim side will also take some time to file their objections to our application. Mr. Abhay Yadav had mentioned before the court that they need some time to file their objections. So after all these formalities and document work are complete, the matter will proceed further for hearing.
Today it so happened that the counsel for the plaintiff, Mr. Jain, was unwell. In the meanwhile, the proceedings which are going on should not continue. So this is being accepted by the court, and the court has directed that the proceedings so far till tomorrow is confirmed.
The heated courtroom battle over the Gyanvapi Mosque has left the locals divided.
इस रिपोर्ट में क्या निकला है, आपको क्या पता?
अरे रिपोर्ट में हमारे भोलेनाथ निकले, नंदी बैल निकला, त्रिशूल निकला है, वहाँ प्रसारक चिन्ह निकला है, तालाब निकला है, सब कुछ है वहाँ.
ठीक, तो जो भी कोर्ट का निर्णय होगा आपको मान्य होगा?
जी हाँ, मानेंगे, कोर्ट का निर्णय मानेंगे। और दूसरी बात ये भाई कह रहे हैं कि यह शिवलिंग है, तो हंसने मजाक वाली बात है। वहाँ फुहारा था, फुहारा है, अब फुहारा ही रहेगा।
All eyes now on the court, on the interpretation of what the findings have been, especially about the shivling, the trishul, the damru, Sringar Gauri idol, and also some other idols of Sanatan Dharm, as the report insists. Now, these reports, the videos and the photographs were submitted in at least 3 boxes to the court, and now all eyes on court.
So what happens next? The sensational survey findings are now with the Varanasi court. Will it impact the hearing in Supreme Court too? With Samad Srivastava and Gaurav in Varanasi and Anisha Mathur in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
Now, naturally, this has attracted a lot of political attention and political face-off over this Gyanvapi Mosque survey. SP Chief Akhilesh Yadav, wading into this controversy, has made a remark now which has not been received well by Hindu groups. Akhilesh Yadav has said that a rock, a red flag and a peepal tree are more than enough to be called a temple. That place itself, a spot itself for Hindus, can become a temple. This comment has escalated now into a full-blown political war. Let's have a quick look.
The fight over faith has also turned into a full-blown political battle. Now Samajwadi Party chief Akhilesh Yadav has triggered a row. Yadav's statement saying a rock, red flag and peepal tree are enough to be called a temple has drawn massive backlash.
का एक्ट है, मुझे उम्मीद है सुप्रीम कोर्ट उस पर ध्यान देगा। मुझे उम्मीद है कि जब यहाँ के अयोध्या का फैसला आया उसमें भी कहा गया कि ये और इश्यूज के लिए नहीं माना जाएगा। इसीलिए मैं कह रहा हूँ कि बीजेपी जानबूझ करके संस्थाओं से खिलवाड़ कर करके ये फैसले करा रही है। हमारे धर्म में तो ये है, हिंदू धर्म में कहीं भी पत्थर रख दो, एक लाल झंडा रख दो, पीपल के पेड़ के नीचे मंदिर बन गया।
उनके लिए वही तालिबानी विचारधारा के लोग चाहिए उन्हें, और उन्हीं के लिए वो सरकार बनाते हैं। कभी देशवासियों के लिए तो काम करना उन्हें आता नहीं है। अगर आता होता तो इस तरह का बयान ऐसे समय पर देना कि अगर न्यायालय में भी वो विश्वास रखते होते तो ये बयान न देते, क्योंकि मामला न्यायालय में है और न्यायालय के निर्देशानुसार ही वहां सारे काम हो रहे हैं।
Akhilesh has also accused the BJP of creating hatred among communities, as has AIMIM chief Asaduddin Owaisi. The BJP has lashed out at Owaisi, accusing him of communalizing the Gyanvapi issue. BJP IT cell chief branded Owaisi a bigot and a hypocrite for his Masjid The or Masjid Rahegi declaration.
मस्जिद है और रहेगी इंशाअल्लाह ताला सुबह क़यामत तक। ज्ञानवापी मस्जिद मस्जिद थी और जब तक अल्लाह दुनिया को कायम रखेगा मस्जिद रहेगी इंशाअल्लाह ताला।
Meanwhile, another opposition neta, TMC MP Mahua Moitra, has sparked a storm by mocking the Gyanvapi survey. Her tweet mocking the shivling and equating it with the Baba Atomic Research Center has set off anger online. Barbs, jibes and taunts all dominating the political discourse on this highly emotive and evocative issue. Bureau Report, India Today.
All right, India Today, the only channel who's been relentlessly focused on the Gyanvapi Mosque survey findings. We are, of course, going to bring you all those details soon after the Supreme Court takes up the matter at 3 p.m. tomorrow. Our continued focus on that. But right after a short break, on the other side with us is an entire report on Navjot Singh Sidhu, who's now been slapped with 1-year jail term by the Supreme Court, was involved in a 1988 road rage case, which now the Supreme Court has finally given an end to. More details up next. Stay with us.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com or call 9999892171. Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices.
सिद्धू सर जिदा कोर्ट का ऑर्डर आया की कहना था
A year of downfall for Sidhu. First lost Punjab CM race, then lost reigns as Punjab Congress chief. now gets 1 year jail term. 1988 road rage case haunts Sidhu.
90 to 95% Hindustani.
Victim killed in a brawl with Sidhu in 1988.
There is nothing good or bad. It is your thought process that makes it so.
Sidhu to be arrested by Punjab police. Jail for Sidhu. All right, Supreme Court has now sent Navjot Singh Sidhu to jail. Supreme Court has imposed a 1-year imprisonment sentence to Navjot Singh Sidhu for a 1988 road rage case. In fact, Sidhu has now reacted after the Supreme Court's order, saying that he will submit himself to the majesty of law. He need not be arrested. Quite a dramatic end to Sidhu's career indeed. Let's have a look what happened.
A few months ago, Navjot Singh Sidhu was in the race to be Punjab Chief Minister. But today, the former State Congress chief is headed to prison in a 34-year-old road rage case. The Supreme Court has sentenced Sidhu to 1-year jail term under the charge of voluntarily causing hurt. The court rejected the review plea by the victim's family to add the charge of culpable homicide not amounting to murder. The court in its order said, a disproportionately light punishment humiliates and frustrates the victim of crime. The court added that indifference to the rights of a victim of a crime is eroding the faith of the society in general. Sidhu, reacting to this sentence, has said he will submit to the majesty of the law. The former cricketer's lawyer thought the review plea was a rare incident.
The turbulence, a quietus has been given by the Supreme Court. This is a matter which is rather old. In fact, review petitions themselves were not activated for many months, almost under a year. I am so happy that ultimately the Supreme Court has given a quietus.
The family, meanwhile, has decided to welcome the court's verdict.
He has to go to jail. He has to surrender and go to jail. To answer आपके एक सवाल का जवाब, क्या उनके पास लीगल रेमेडी है? वो एक क्यूरेटिव पिटीशन है. वो क्यूरेटिव डाल सकते हैं जी कि जो 5 जजों के पास जाएगी, 3 जज सर्टिफाई करेंगे, पर वो रेमेडी is very rarely exercised.
The road rage case dates back to 1988, when Navjot Singh Sidhu got into an argument with a Patiala resident over a parking spot. Sidhu allegedly dragged him out of his car and hit him. The man later died. Sidhu was earlier let off with a fine of 1,000 rupees. Now, the maximum possible punishment under Section 323 of the Indian Penal Code has been given to Sidhu. From a humiliating defeat in Punjab elections to a conviction in the road rage case, the former cricketer's political career has hit a roadblock. For Navjot Singh Sidhu, a comeback from this point seems a tough challenge. Bureau Report, India Today.
All right, Navjot Singh Sidhu is certainly a man who's been in the spotlight so long, for the last few years. He certainly has the gift of the gab, but unfortunately, some of the choices he made hasn't really gone down too well when it comes to his career graph. Let me cut across to some of the moments which we can now look back. Apologies for that. Which we can now look back to see on what really led to Navjot Singh Sidhu's downfall. His career now has come to a dramatic end, considering the Supreme Court has literally slapped him with 1 year imprisonment over a case that happened back in 1988, which killed an old man. But a quick look at the number of controversies and the kind of downfall that Sidhu has had over the last few years, ever since the Punjab elections. Now, if we can take a quick look here, Navjot Singh Sidhu was part of the BJP. He quit the BJP to join the Congress party in 2017, just before the 2017 Punjab polls. Was really hoping that he would be made the chief minister at that point, but that did not happen. He was eventually given a cabinet berth instead of CM's post. And then eventually, Navjot Singh Sidhu went on to push the Congress party there to make him the deputy chief minister at least. And that too did not happen. The Congress refused. And after that, Navjot Singh Sidhu, out of anger, quit from his cabinet post. He says, I don't want to be the minister, I want to resign because you've not made me the deputy chief minister. And then at that point, Navjot Singh Sidhu, after that, tried to, of course, did all the works to oust Captain Amrinder Singh. And right after Captain Amrinder Singh's ouster, he really hoped that he could become the chief minister once again. But then too, the Congress came back with a googly where they appointed Charanjit Singh Channi as the Chief Minister of Punjab. Now, we're looking at Navjot Singh Sidhu, who had insisted and pushed for him to be made the president of the Congress unit in Punjab. And he was quite, spoke with conviction and quite confident that under his leadership as the president of the Congress Punjab unit, he will make sure the party wins. But unfortunately for Navjot Singh Sidhu, he literally had quite an embarrassing loss, not just for the Congress party, not just the Congress party lost that election embarrassingly to the AAP, but Sidhu also lost his own constituency, unfortunately, to a newbie in the Aam Aadmi Party. An AAP leader finally won the election in the Amritsar East constituency, which Navjot Singh Sidhu was really hoping to get. So in every way, we're looking at Navjot Singh Sidhu's career literally coming to a massive downfall. And one should learn a thing or two from Sidhu on how to have a dramatic end to your glorious career. Now, let me cut across to Lalit Sharma. Lalit Sharma has been tracking those developments. Let's try and understand where is Navjot Singh Sidhu, because the moment the court ordered for a 1-year imprisonment, Navjot Singh Sidhu said, don't arrest me, I am going to come and turn myself to the law. I will be a law-abiding citizen and I will surrender myself. That's what Sidhu has said. Let me cut across to Lalit. Lalit, give us an understanding. Where is Navjot Singh Sidhu? Has he reached the magistrate's court? We understand he's going to be taken to Patiala prison, where he's going to be lodged there. Where is Sidhu? Has he spoken?
Right now, if we talk about Navjot Singh Sidhu, the cricketer turned politician, is right now at his residence in Patiala. And let me first show you the visuals here. I'm standing just outside his residence in Patiala, and still he is inside his residence here. But after the pronouncement from the Supreme Court, where he was being slapped for 1-year imprisonment, soon after that, Navjot Singh Sidhu went to the residence of former PCC chief Lal Singh, and there after that for rather half an hour he tweeted when the whole pronouncement came. And after that, when he came back to his residence, he from here just tried to go to the Amritsar residence, but after around 25 minutes in the road, he once again turned back to his Patiala residence. And right now what we are also learning that now Navjot Singh Sidhu's wife and daughter are on their way from Amritsar to Patiala. And if we just overall talk about today's overall incident, today Navjot Singh Sidhu had a rally where he hit quite hard on the center in the price rise and on the inflation issue, and was seen riding an elephant in the Patiala Anardana Chowk, Anardana market. And soon after that, he even had a strong word, he used a strong word against the center price rise and inflation. But after that, as soon as the pronouncement came, Navjot Singh Sidhu tried to just hide from the media. He did not interact with the media, but when we tried to talk to him, he just said no comments. And
where exactly is he right now, Lalit? Where exactly is
Navjot Singh
Navjot?
Sidhu has to Navjot Singh Sidhu right now is at his Patiala residence, and let me show you the visuals here. Right now we are standing outside his residence in Patiala. It's the 26th number house at the Yadvinder colony in Patiala. And from the past 1.5 hours, he is still inside his residence only. He just went from his residence to Amritsar, but after traveling for half an hour in the road, he just once again turned back, and once again he went back to his residence in Patiala only. And what we are also learning that Navjot Singh Sidhu's wife and daughter are on their way from Amritsar to Patiala. And
right,
other than that, if we
is the police on its way? Are the police on their way? Are they going to be coming to arrest him? Is he going to turn up at the magistrates himself? Is he going to surrender? What's the development? What do you know is going to happen in the next few hours?
See, right now what we are learning that Navjot Singh Sidhu would going to surrender himself, and as soon as his wife and daughter would come, after that most probably he would surrender. But what we are also learning that he had a team right now, some team of legal cell, some advocates are inside his residence, and he's trying to use his legal remedies. But right now, as already Supreme Court has slapped 1 year rigorous imprisonment, he has to surrender before the police. So we have to wait and watch when does Navjot Singh Sidhu does. But if we overall talk about, it's a 34-year-old road rage incident in which.
But Lalit, you know, the question here is there any legal remedy? Can he? Is there a way that he can really contest this order by the Supreme Court? Because it's ultimately the apex court that's ordered for a 1-year jail for this Congress leader Navjot Singh Sidhu, who's had a series of failures. This comes as a nail on the coffin, undoubtedly. But is there any legal remedy? Can he contest the Supreme Court's verdict right now?
No, not at all. Right now, what we are learning from the legal teams also, right now he doesn't have any sort of legal remedy. He has to surrender, as already Supreme Court in his review petition have pronounced its verdict, and very clearly, very hard language. This time, the Supreme Court in the review pronouncement has been done that the way Navjot Singh Sidhu has slapped, the hands could be used as a weapon, as a 25. That time Navjot Singh Sidhu was approximately 25-26, and that time international cricket player, boxer, those hands can be used as a weapon.
He could be anybody, but everyone is common before the law, and that's what we see here, that the Supreme Court has taken cognizance of a case that was filed in 1988. Today, almost 35 years later, Navjot Singh Sidhu is now slapped with 1 year imprisonment on this road rage case. Let me cut across to a very interesting piece of update here I want to take you through. Lalit, do stay with us. What we know here is that Sidhu, once he's taken by the police, will be led to the Patiala jail. He's going to be lodged at the Patiala prison, the same prison where his sworn enemy and powerful Akali Dal leader Bikram Singh Majithia is currently lodged. Remember, Bikram Singh Majithia and Navjot Singh Sidhu, both of them fought the Amritsar East constituency. Both of them lost to AAP candidate Jeevan Jyot. Once best friends, now arch rivals, both of these controversial figures now will be meeting at the Patiala jail. Very interesting development here. Both enemies, sworn enemies, are now going to be lodged in the same Patiala House jail. Lalit, is that right? They're going to be meeting in the Patiala House jail, maybe after years, after all their rivalry and enmity. It seems like both of them now land in the same prison.
Definitely very interesting fact, and especially if we overall talk about many years before, Navjot Singh Sidhu and Bikram Singh Majithia had been very close friends with each other. But after the political rivalry, when Navjot Singh Sidhu was a part of BJP and Bikram Singh Majithia was a part of Akali Dal, that time when they had exchanged strong words with each other, and they become very strong rivals and enemies of each other. Majority of the time they could be seen hitting very hard on each other. Now Bikram Singh Majithia is already lodged inside Patiala jail in the international drug racket matter, and already 3 to 4 times his the petitions has been slashed. So still Bikram Singh Majithia from the past 2.5 months is still inside the Patiala jail, and after the today's verdict pronouncement on the 34-year-old rage incident, now Navjot Singh Sidhu would be,
and that's now come as a huge turn of events for Navjot Singh Sidhu, who's had this long-standing rivalry with Majithia. Finally, what an irony there. Navjot himself now lands himself in the Patiala jail right beside Majithia. Now, let me take you through some of those controversies which Navjot Singh Sidhu is known for. Like I said, learn from him on how to end a glorious career quite dramatically. Here are a number of those incidents that really put Navjot Singh Sidhu right at the spotlight, right? Starting from 2018, where Navjot Singh Sidhu was allegedly spotted with pro-Khalistani leader. In fact, we also know that there were a number of other times that Navjot Singh Sidhu made headlines when he skipped the funeral of Vajpayee and went to Pakistan in 2018. A lot of talk, a lot of embarrassment that he had to face at that time. And then you had at one point in 2018 where Navjot Singh Sidhu embraced the Pakistan Army Chief, Qamar Javed Bajwa. And then, of course, the very popular offensive remark that he made against an Indore woman mayor in 2018, where he received some immense backlash for being quite a man. Here we're also looking at a number of other allegations there where it appears that he's made, in fact, he says that he can relate more with Pakistan than with South India. That remark, of course, was looked at an anti-national remark, a remark that came from an Indian. Unfortunately, that tasted of quite some bigotry with that remark. Navjot Singh Sidhu was heavily slammed when he said he relates to Pakistan more than South India. And then, furthermore, IT department froze Sidhu's bank accounts in 2018, again put him back in the spotlight. And then, of course, allegedly making some vulgar jokes on national television in 2017 did not go down too well because, again, Navjot Singh Sidhu and his character came full-blown on television. And he has always been unapologetic, never apologized for whatever has happened in the past, has always been defiant and confident of whatever he says and does. And finally, we remember in 1996 when he was quite a popular cricketer at that point, he literally walked out of an England tour in 96, did not give any reason, no justification, walked out like a hero and left the entire team wondering what happened. This is exactly Navjot Singh Sidhu. A glorious career that he's now brought to a dramatic end, with the Supreme Court now intervening in a 1988 case where they've now slapped a 1-year imprisonment, which Navjot Singh Sidhu now seems to be struggling to find legal provisions on how to get out of this case. But will that happen? Of course, remains to be seen. India Today continues to keep the spotlight on that. On the other side of a short break, we're looking at Gaurav Sawant, who's right there at the Gyanvapi complex, where he's going to be bringing us all the detailed report of the Mosque Survey Committee's findings. All that and more on the other side of a short break. Do stay with India Today.
$100 billion items of clothing are sold each year in the world, double the figure 15 years ago, a consequence of fast fashion, the response to the latest trends. Even at the raw material stage, pollution is present. 26% of our clothes are made of cotton, which requires a great deal of water. Then there are the pesticides and fertilizers. Making a t-shirt requires water equivalent to 70 showers. More than 60% of our clothes are made of polyester, which comes from oil, so their carbon footprint is considerable. Dyeing, washing out, softening the raw material require products that are as dangerous for workers that use them as they are for the environment. Transporting clothes is far from environment friendly. A pair of jeans can travel 1.5 times around the world. Even in our homes, clothes continue to pollute. When they're washed, our polyester shirts and shorts release microfibers into the oceans, as much as 500,000 tons per year, the equivalent of 50 billion bottles of plastic. Textiles are one of the world's most polluting industries. 1.2 billion tons of greenhouse gases are released into the atmosphere each year, more than international air travel and maritime shipping combined.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com or call 9999892171.
You are watching India Today.
Co-presented by PolicyBazaar.com. Co-powered by HP Pavilion, power to do it all. In association with LIC, हर पल आपके साथ. The new Volkswagen Virtus. Shivling, temple ruins, image of deities. Trishul, damru and lotus. Survey reveals Gyanvapi's Hindu past. No half-truths. Full survey report only on India Today. Gyanvapi Truth Files.
Hello and welcome to an India Today special broadcast that comes to you from Avinashi, Kashi. I'm Gaurav Sawant. The survey at the Kashi Vishwanath Temple Gyanvapi premises, the report was submitted in a Varanasi court. Both surveys, there were surveys that were conducted by two different survey commissioners, one on the 6th and the 7th of May, the other on the 14th, 15th and 16th of May. India Today has exclusively accessed details of this survey report, and the findings are surprising for some and exemplary in what they say for others. The survey report very clearly indicates the presence of a shivling, as the Hindu side puts it, and a fountain, as the Muslim side puts it. We will get